Calling all Marvel fans, let's dive into the new Disney Plus Marvel TV series. Today, we'll be discussing some of the top Marvel shows, the good, the bad, and the highly anticipated ones. First up, we'll be taking a look at the series called What If, which follows closely with Steve Rogers' storyline. Afterwards, we're going to go over the relationship between Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Then we'll learn about the universe where the series Loki takes place. And then, to finish off, we'll look into the most beloved and #1 series called Hawkeye. First up, and worst rated TV series is What If? What if this series was a hit? That's the question many critics are asking. They say it was a series with potential to go far but had a poor delivery. In the series What If, it's an alternate universe based around the idea that Peggy, instead of Captain America, got the injection shots. The comics were a hit or a miss, and that same energy carried over to the show as well. Some topics and issues were thought of as brilliant, some were frowned upon and considered irrelevant. Don't get it twisted though, there were some noteworthy episodes such as what if the world lost its mightiest heroes. In addition, there were less than favorable episodes such as Party Thor. The entire idea was based around a joke and it was stretched out throughout the whole episode. Critics feel the show had potential and portrayed strong characters, but the animation was somewhat bland. The thing that set the comics in favor over the show is that in the comics, every so often new artists came on board to liven up the style, and the storyline issues were intriguing. But in the series that came out on Disney Plus, each episode looked the same, no matter which way the show shifted. It rallies in at one of the worst thought of shows, ultimately due to its lack of direction. Now the series is based around Peggy being captain, which means Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes meet different fates. But also taking into account that the series is based around what ifs, it makes it difficult to care much about the outcomes of each episode. You have to admit, it's still a cool concept, a world that's designed to play into an imaginative theory, but in the long run doesn't amount to much. Maybe it was a first season fluke and we can hope to see the new season bring a new perspective. Stay tuned for the second season, for it's said to release sometime early on this year. Next up is the second to worst ranked series called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now this series is thought to be one of the worst, if not the worst, series Disney Plus has released thus far. Many critique this series thinking it had so much potential and had one of the most interesting storylines to portray. Started out as a worthy show with two of Steve Rogers' closest associates battling over who is fit to take his place. It's thought that the essence of the series got lost along the way and there were too many characters along with subplots in order to keep up. Not to mention the relationship between Falcon and the Soldier were thought to be a relationship that was pretty forgettable. It's said the two characters didn't possess enough clarity around villains and who they were and what it was they wanted. The idea about Captain America's true legacy didn't come together in a way producers hoped. The first series premiered March 19, 2021 and aired 6 episodes. The first season came to an end on April 23rd. Falcon and Soldier seem to be a match that wasn't made in heaven, but they team up for adventures that test their skills along with their patience. Some feel the storyline was lost when political matters started rising. In a scene where an argument breaks out in the streets, police arrive and automatically target Falcon. The police do this and forget to see he's an Avenger. Many don't like how racial comments and racial profiling are thrown into the show. Along with these issues, the transitions and storytelling aren't delivered well. Not to mention, above all, the fact that Falcon took over as Captain America when fans hoped it would be Steve's best friend Bucky. No matter, be waiting on season 2 in hopes the series will redeem itself. Next up is a show that's on the border of bad and good, Loki. Loki sits right in the middle as a show that's half good and half bad. Loki is thought to have one of the best setup storylines in place. Loki is made to lay low by an organization and is recruited to fix things that are being destroyed by a variant of himself. Several versions of Loki remain a non-factor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The finale of Loki is made to set up upcoming Marvel Phase 4 movies as well as TV shows. The idea for the show wasn't bad, but many felt there was more potential with the original premise. Loki takes place sometime after Avengers Endgame, and that's when an alternate version of Loki is released and a new timeline begins. So what exactly happens to Loki? Well, he's taken from one universe by the Time Variance Authority because he stole the Tesseract, and that led to the events of the Avengers. So Loki has no choice but to team up with the TVA in efforts to track down the rogue alternate version of himself. The alternative version of himself has gone crazy, killing agents of the organization. We know the producers were aiming to reel us in and try to get us invested in the relationship between Loki and Mobius. Mobius, who's played by Owen Wilson, doesn't trust Loki, but still takes a liking to him. The same can be said for Loki, even though he can be hard to read. We still know it's to be true. So what could come with the next season? Take your time thinking about it, because it's rumored that this series won't be returning to Disney Plus this January. In fact, it could be a while before Loki makes his return back to the Marvel Universe. So when could we expect to see a return from Loki? And in what future MCU project could we make his debut? The new Thor movie is said to be released sometime in 2022, so could this be when we see him return? And being that Loki, or at least one version of Loki, is playing by the rules, we wonder what kind of Loki we'll be seeing returning. Could he be the villain we know him as, or could he be a good guy? Stay tuned in for his return. The next show, Hawkeye, is the best new Marvel series. This series is one of the best series for a multitude of reasons. One being it reels the audience in from the get-go with star Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. The early 20s successful archer returns home from school for the holidays and becomes suspicious about meeting her mother's new boyfriend, Jack Dukens. Her curiosity peaks when a holiday party is held and she follows her mom secretly and overhears a dispute between her and Jack's dad. She then follows Jack to a secret lair where a bid for some high-quality black market items are being auctioned off. Trouble ensues when goons crash the secret auction in search of a watch. Kate stumbles across a suit that we come to recognize as Ronin's suit. She puts it on and makes her escape. But newscasters catch a glimpse of the masked assailant as she flees the scene, and that caption read, "Has Ronin returned?" This draws the attention of Clint Barton, who aims to see just who is underneath the mask. Upon Kate returning home, the two meet and come to work together in efforts to get to the bottom of a few things. Not only Clint's eye was caught by the fake Ronin, Echo, a hearing-impaired mob lady, tracks down the two, wanting to know who and where Ronin is. She's seeking revenge because Ronin is the masked assailant who killed her father. Echo comes to the conclusion that Clint is Ronin and fights him on a rooftop where Kate helps him defend against her. Things take a turn when a fourth uninvited guest crashes the duel. Yelena Belova is seen coming between everyone and throwing a punch or two Clint's way. Clint doesn't get a look at her, but later finds out it's Natasha Romanoff's sister. Yelena warns Kate that it's her mission to kill Clint and that nothing will get in her way because she seeks revenge for the person responsible for Natasha's death. The roller coaster and turn of events and dynamic between all the actors makes this a series you'll surely be invested in. Well, there you have it. We touched on all the must-see good and bad Disney Marvel shows. So which series do you think is the best, and which ones do you think could have been portrayed better? What will come in the next phase of Marvel? Stay tuned to see what happens this next year and where these series will go next.